Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents Unbreakable Arsenal by Jeffery H. Haskell, narrated by Emily Beresford. 1. I think some people have a fundamental misunderstanding of what I do. Sometimes I just want to grab them by the shoulders and say, "That's not how the Force works." From the Journal of Amelia Lockhart. Amelia, wake up. Fog covers my thoughts as I drift up toward Epic's voice. Epic, where are we? I do not know. We were hit with an EMP weapon upon exiting Q-space. I shake my head and immediately regret it. You're shielded against EMP. I let it hang out there while I try to recover the memories of where we are. You are correct. However, whatever hit us shut me down as if I was not shielded. I cannot explain alien technology without some form of reference, which we do not have at this time. The fog lifts, and it slowly comes back to me. Pythia shoving us through the gateway into Q-space, exiting a few hours later. A ship with strange markings approaching us. And then, I blink several times in an attempt to get my bearings. Everything is black, though. I can't see anything. Epic, lights, please. LEDs embedded within the suit pop on, leaving little spots dancing around my vision. I'm in a pod of some kind. A glass plate covers the front, and bands trap me like an operating table. At least I'm standing up. I resist the urge to struggle just yet. I don't want to tip my hand. The lights stretch out far enough to see the immediate area. Wherever we are, it's huge. For 50 feet in front of me, I can see other pods, crates, cages, and a mess of equipment I don't recognize. Okay, time to leave. My muscles feel like they haven't moved in a month when I press against the bands. However, I don't rely on my own strength. The suit does the vast majority of the work. The bands are made of some kind of thickly fibered material I don't recognize. They're strong, but no match for the Mark V. I can bench press Luke's truck in this thing. I grunt as the lower bands snap. With those gone, I just sink down a little, bending my knees sideways, and come out from underneath the top one. This is not glass. Bear that in mind. I am not sure what the material is made of. It is sure to be stronger than we expect. I'm not worried about that. Now that I can move, sort of doom. I don't actually have to speak to have the blade snap into existence. It sure is fun, though, to say it out loud. The black blade forms in my hand, 3 feet long and 1 molecule thick at the cutting edge. Whatever the translucent material is made of, it can't withstand the cutting power of the sword. The glass shatters almost immediately as the blade cuts up the middle. Stepping out, I take a good look around and stretch my aching body. Epic. How long were we out? I cannot imagine much longer than 24 hours. However, whatever they shot us with dampened all my systems. When I came back online, my internal clock had not progressed. Well, I'm not any hungrier than I was when we came out of Q-space, which is to say I'd eat a horse, hoof and all right now. But beyond that, yeah, probably a day or so. The room is full of empty pods, just like the one I came out of. The ceiling is 100 feet up, and I can't locate the walls. Switch to echolocation. Maybe we can pick up something. Affirmative. Oh, and Epic? Yes. I grin as I speak. 1 ping. 1 ping only, please. Very funny. The suit pings, and I watch the sound spread out on my heads-up display, bouncing off various outcroppings and walls. It doesn't go far enough for a complete map. Walking forward, I trigger another ping. This completes the picture a little better. Keep walking to your right. I think 1 or 2 more pings will complete the map. The place is huge, and if we're on a ship, it has to be some kind of cargo hold. If we're on a planet, a warehouse. The last ping fills in the missing pieces. The room is 300 feet by 200 feet, with a 100-foot ceiling. It is jam-packed full of weird stuff. 100 pods like the one I was in, 15 vehicles that look like some kind of farm equipment, a few hundred crates of organic matter Epic identifies as a nutrient paste. I almost want to crack one of those open. With my luck, it would be paste for a silicate-based life form or something. The inventory list goes on with no rhyme or reason. It's like someone flew through the universe and picked up whatever passed. They're salvagers, Epic, or some kind of bizarre free trader. That has to be it. Their cargo appears consistent with your hypothesis, and I recommend we find a way to leave. I would imagine an exotic species such as yourself would make for a good payout. They seem to have weapons capable of taking us out, and I would hate to be knocked offline again. We might not wake up. A chill runs up my spine. Poor Kate. The hell she must be going through. Waking up only to find herself missing an arm. Heart racing, I numbly nodded his proclamation. Okay, stealth mode. Keep the ZPFM at minimal power. If we can find a terminal, maybe we can hack it and figure out exactly where we are? Good plan. Epic kills the LEDs and switches my display to purely a map overlay from the sonar. With no active signals emitting from the armor, we should be all but impossible to detect. Making a best guess, I go right, staying close to the wall and doing my Mission Impossible imitation, moving from cover to cover. I guessed right. The back of the room has a massive door split in two. Next to it is a console of some kind. Ducking down beside it, I place my hand on the front and let Epic do his thing via induction. The good news is, the console is not hardened. The bad news is, it has no power. I flick through the menus for my ZPFM and reroute power to the glove. Epic handles the flow, and within a second the panel lights up. Amelia, we have a problem. I see it. Who the hell built this tub? The console isn't a computer, or at least not the kind I would think of. It has knobs, switches, even a large lever. There are no controls to hack because all the controls are analog, which... This is actually better. We won't set off any intrusion countermeasures while we toggle things. Making sure to continue to give it juice, I pick a knob and turn it. From the back of the room, a loud screeching noise echoes in the big chamber. Not that one. Some kind of gantry? Possible. If I were designing this thing, the lever would open the door. I wrap a hand around it and pull. It won't budge. Perhaps there is a safety toggle to flip first? Good call. I think it's safe to have some light. The helmet light flares to life, allowing me to scan the buttons. There are indeed 2 shielded buttons. I flip both covers and press the buttons underneath. A massive klaxon blares as red lights flash in the interior. I like the sound of that, I tell Epic over the noise. I take a deep breath and pull the lever again. Amelia, stop! My hand freezes on the lever. What? I think this is an automated cargo vessel, hence the manual controls. Someone would have to board her to open the cargo doors. Plus, if it is automated, then we can commandeer her! Oh, Epic! Are we going to go home? Even if their encryption is as good as the Thune, we should still be able to crack her in a few days at most. Epic? Make it so. 2. San Diego. Luke winced as the massive robotic arm crashed through the facade of the 5-star restaurant. Rolling under the swinging arm and debris, he regained his feet at a dead run.
TK, keep that mess from hurting anyone,
he yelled over the comms. The roar of the robotic monster drowned out all sound for a moment after Luke issued his order as the giant metal beast recovered from swinging at him. Luke leaped over a car, hitting the pavement on the other side to drop into a slide. Behind him, the car exploded into bits. "You've pissed it off now," Kate called over the radio.
"Not sure how I did that. We could really use a protector right about now, Kate."
Rolling on his shoulder, Luke came up with a manhole cover, spun, and let it fly. The iron frisbee shot through the air like a bullet to clang off the creature's jaw. The 6-story-tall Mega Dinobot had the body and head of a T-Rex, but the arms of a gorilla. Arms it had used to breach 7 banks so far. It wasn't bothering with tellers. The thing ripped the vaults right out and swallowed them whole. He's in Chile helping with the earthquake. He can't come here for a glorified bank robber when so many lives are in jeopardy down there, Kate, the hero known as Domino, told him. Ringing the Dinobot's bell seemed to refocus it for a second, giving Luke a moment to breathe.
Think, Luke, think. What would Amelia do? She'd say something relevant to pop culture and then blast it with science.
He let out a sigh. It wouldn't do any good to sink into despair at this particular moment. He shoved all thoughts of his missing girlfriend aside in order to come up with a plan. It walked on 2 legs, but it used its arms for balance. Shifting armor plates and reinforced metal made up its exterior, but it had to see, right?
Fleet, how's the evac going?
Fleet's voice came back over the radio in bursts as he raced throughout the battlefield rescuing civilians. Of course, this was the week Lux went home to check on her people. Both his heavy hitters were out of town, so to speak.
Another 3 minutes, and I will have them, all in the green zone, with the doctor.
The green zone was the call sign they used for the evac spot, a place for the doctor to set up and treat the wounded. Not only was Teddy a world-class physician, but his own powers accelerated a person's natural healing ability. More than once in the last year, Luke had seen miracles happen with Teddy around. "Luke, look out!" He blinked. It was too late. A massive 3-clawed foot stomped down on him with enough force to flatten a dump truck. Luke grunted from the pain and pressure. The ground beneath him cracked before exploding down into the sewer pipes. Water pipes exploded under him, followed by electrical conduits. For a brief second, Luke managed to regret not paying attention. Then the pain hit him as tens of thousands of volts coursed through his system. His vision went red and his heart rate tripled. A roar of pain ripped out of him as his powers kicked in. Muscles and bone expanded, and strength flooded his system. With it, he lost virtually all rational thought and ran on instinct alone. The monster hurt him, so he was going to hurt it back. When the giant foot lifted from him, he leaped up, latching onto the toe and climbing up over the top of it. He balled his fist and slammed it down as hard as he could. Maxed out as he was, his fist hit like a jackhammer being held by a bull elephant. Reinforced steel buckled as he slammed his fist against it over and over again. Laser focus and unwavering force held Luke to the foot as he worked on breaking the armor. He didn't notice the creature looking down, nor did he feel the heat as molten fire built in its belly. Kate did, though. "Crap," she muttered. When Luke got like this, there was no warning him. Sure, his danger sense might protect him, but it worked much better against smaller threats. He couldn't dodge a wall of flame. At least, not without her help. She slipped her pistol into the custom holster, freeing up her one arm. She didn't wear the prosthetic when she suited up. Even with its advanced electronics, it wasn't useful in combat. She started running. Leaping on a red sports car, she pushed off with all her might. At the apex of her jump, 12 feet off the ground, she ported. In a blink, Kate vanished from one point and reappeared 2 feet from Luke. The momentum of her jump carried through the teleport, and she crashed into Luke and triggered her power again. The two landed hard on the grass of the small park a half block from where they had been a moment before. Luke twisted out of her grip, springing to his feet, chest heaving, his breaths coming in massive gulps. "Calm down, Tiger," she said, pointing. "Look!" A massive gout of flame erupted from the Dinobot's mouth, turning the street to slag. He breathed in, and his body relaxed. 2 inches flowed off of him.
"Thanks," he said with a grin. "I'm glad you came out of retirement to help."
"I didn't. This is a one-time thing. Once we track down who's making these things, I'm out. I'm a liability in most cases. I won't risk the team on me." She pushed herself up, wiping off her black form-fitting pants. "Come on, we still need to find a way to stop this thing before it gets away like the one in New York." Luke nodded.
"Let's regroup."
3. "Unmanned, huh? Great call!" I say, ducking behind the bulkhead as red beams of energy lash out from the security drone. "Technically, I am correct." "You mean like, technically Mass Effect 3 had different endings?" "I see your point." The security drone had come out of nowhere, firing at us with a barrage of laser weapons, missing us but melting the bulkhead. When the last beam fades, I leap out, roll on my shoulder, and come up firing my particle beam. The blue hyper-accelerated silicate lashes out, splashing against the black, crab-like hull for a half-second before eating through the armor to the soft, gooey interior. The crab explodes in a shower of sparks and debris. Metal bits ping off my armor and the walls, filling the hull with super-hot pieces of drone. Score! I would wait to celebrate after we get through the door to the bridge. I sigh, my elation abolished by the facts. The bulkhead door leading to what we believe is the bridge is made from some form of metal I don't recognize. The panel to the side is another one of these hardwired controls with a keypad. We could try running permutations, but it's a 12-digit keypad with a possible 8,916,100,448,256 solutions. Even if I punched one every 4 seconds, it would take me 1,300 days and change to try them all. I'm not sure I have that kind of time or patience. Let's try the particle beam again. We'd just gotten started when the drone attacked. Maybe that's the only one? As one of your favorite fictional characters stated, if wishes were horses, we would all be eating steak. I can't help but laugh. It's a great line. I fire up the beam with a smile on my face. In my old suit, the heat of the particle beam would limit its use to 3-second intervals. With the Mark V, I have no such limitation. The beam lances out, striking the door in a shower of energy. Locking the armor to focus the beam on one spot. Roger that. While Epic takes over the firing systems, I use the sensors to scan the ship. It doesn't have any wireless signals, and whatever conduits it might have are shielded. Whoever built this thing didn't want there to be the possibility of a wireless takeover. Smart, too, since the only way to prevent something from being hacked is to make it not accessible. Otherwise, hackers gonna hack. I glance back the way we came, a 50-foot-long corridor leading to the hatch we discovered. I have no idea how big this ship is, but it was easy enough to find the bridge. It can't be too big? Being in control of the ship before it reaches the next jump point would be ideal. I don't want to meet whoever put me in the pod, especially since they have weapons that can shut me down like a light switch. I glance at the hallway again. Epic, I have an idea. Is it a really good idea or a really bad one? Some days there isn't a difference. Any progress on cutting it? Negative. Whatever this hull material is, it seems impenetrable to our beams. Free up my arm. He does. For science sake, I extend my sword and swing it against the door. I'm not sure how they could manufacture a metal resistant to my Sword of Doom, but they have. Damn, I didn't really expect that to work anyway. Come on, I tell him as I head for the back of the hall. I am right behind you. The hall splits into a T. One way goes toward the cargo hold, the other toward some kind of temporary bunk area that hasn't been used in a very long time. Hiding most of my body behind the corner, I bring up my arm with the mass driver. Amelia, this is a very bad idea. Define bad. Worse than when you allowed yourself to be swallowed by the mutant sea creature? Nah, that was awesome. Spin up the SDF-1, por favor. Spinning up. Hidden away in the thicker sections of my suit, the ZPFM feeds my supercapacitors more power than required to run the Empire State Building. The amount of electricity needed to fire the weapon is far too much for a regular superconductor. I circumvented this by building 2 supercapacitors capable of storing an immense amount of energy for a brief while. Once the SCs show full, I start the pre-fire. Around my arm, the animetal molds to form a large barrel. The actual diameter isn't that wide, only 0.2 inches, and the rest is to help with the retort. Down my backside a rigid line forms, bracing me against the deck. The lights in the suit dim, and the whine from the ZPFM increases to ear-splitting decibels. Epic cuts it off to protect my hearing, because what comes next is truly loud. The tungsten ball bearing drops into the pocket and rolls down my spine to where my foot is, before shooting back up like a rocket. When the ball hits the magnetic field, the railgun fires. 32 megajoules fling the tungsten projectile down the hallway at Mach 10. The boom and fire are enough to dent steel and burn everything in the hallway black. Save me. The smoke clears after a moment, and I stand there open-mouthed and wide-eyed. No wonder the sword couldn't cut through it. The door didn't break. It shattered. The hardened crystalline form lays in pieces across what can only be the bridge. You did not die. Congratulations. Why do I sense a but coming? Because you are perceptive. Step through the doorway. I've only seen 2 bridges of alien ships, Lux's tiny little scout vessel and the Thun frigate we commandeered. This is nothing like either of those. Tiny to the point of cramped. 1 console, 1 chair, and a 180-degree panoramic view of the ship. Like an Earth-made cargo ship, the alien bridge sits near the back, overlooking the main deck. We must have been in one of 100 cargo holds. Holy... epic, it's 3 miles long. Well, crap. A ship this size, I doubt I'm the only living thing on it. Sit in the chair, and we can connect to the computer. I follow his instructions. The chair isn't made for a human or a bipedal person at all. The right side is reinforced for a larger arm, and the back creases inward sharply. I won't be falling asleep any time soon. Lights spring to life as Epic initializes our connection to the ship's computer. This has only basic programming. It should not take me more than a few minutes to work it out. While you do that, I'm going to look for a list of the ship's cargo. After cracking military codes and fighting soldiers, breaking into this cargo hauler seems simple by comparison. It only takes Epic 20 minutes to figure it out. Once he has complete control, it's easy enough to find the manifest. There's a lot of living things in cryopods, just like I was. Doesn't look like anything sentient, though. Animals, bacteria, that kind of thing. Whoever took me must have thought I was a robot or something. I wonder what gave them that idea. Quiet, you. With the manifest tucked away, I look around for engineering specs. But with no translation, they are meaningless. How's the navigation system coming? Confusing. Give me a few more minutes. Does the ship have a wireless receiver? Yes. Activate it so I can move my hand. Done. I take my hand off the panel and stand up, stretching while I do so, and letting out a low moan. A week in the armor is getting old. And I'm hungry. We used up all my food in Q-space. I need to locate some more, but I doubt this tug has what we need. Amelia, we have a problem. Of course we do. What? I walk over to the station and look down at the console. Epic switches the screen to what looks like 2 blips coming up fast on the freighter. I'll give you one guess what those are. Small, fast ships approaching from the stern with no IFF. Pirates, and not the fun kind. I shake my head. Well, maybe this isn't so bad after all. I don't see any planets or stars nearby. I didn't want to take this ship back to Earth anyway. Hey, let's go commit some acts of irony. Battle stations. I'm always at battle stations. I have nowhere else to go. I know. I just wanted to say it. 4. Mega Dinobot roared as it slammed Luke against the side of the formerly 5-star hotel, leaving him dazed and in a Luke-sized crater. I don't think our current plan of get beat to death by a robot is working, boss, TK said over the comms. Luke agreed. He'd managed to calm himself down enough to regain some control, but they simply lacked the power to stop this thing. He was no mathematician, but at this point, the property damage probably outweighed the 7 vaults and 2 diamond stores the Mega Dinobot had swallowed. Luckily, probably because of the diligence of TK and Fleet, no civilians had suffered injuries or death. Luke and Kate simply weren't enough to stop this thing. They'd settled for slowing it down until Carlos could get free to come help. Luke! Kate's voice called over the comms a split second before she materialized beside him in all her glory. It never ceased to amaze him how he was a sweaty mess after fighting this thing for an hour, and Kate looked like she was ready for a night on the town. The fading sun glinted off the green jewel she wore around her neck, a gift from Amelia, Kate's best friend, and Luke's girlfriend. Don't forget missing. Long-time missing girlfriend. Amelia was going on a 1.5 years missing. Kate assured him she was still alive, just too far away to be reached. Focus, Lancaster. What's the plan, Domino? he asked in his overly serious voice. She flashed him a smirk. Plan? Getting your butt kicked isn't a plan? He shook his head.
Not a good one.
I think it's leaving, she said, pointing at the 6-story-tall robot as it turned toward the setting sun and began its march to the sea.
Just like the last one. Wreak havoc, rob a bunch of high-value targets, then retreat to the sea. If it gets to the ocean, we'll never be able to follow it.
Kate nodded, sympathy plain on her face. She reached out with her remaining hand and touched Luke's shoulder. A second later, they were a mile away, watching the Dinobot lurch toward them.
Fleet, I know you're tired, man, but... Civilians,
Luke said over the comms.
I know, Fleet replied in his Bostonian accent. That's my song. Civilians, civilians, he said in a mock high-pitched voice. TK, any chance you could lift enough water to drown it? Maybe short something out?
It's worth a shot. How long do I have to get to the... Air whooshed over the radio for a second. Never mind, Fleet dropped me off. I'll start filling a bucket. Luke reached up and flicked the lens on his goggles. At least they were still intact. Selecting magnification until he could see TK on the pier, forming a huge ball of water.
Master Lancaster, sir, there is a call coming from the Pentagon. Major Nelson seems quite insistent.
Milton's upper-class British accent never seemed out of place or worried. Amelia had really broken the mold with him. With Epic gone, he'd taken over managing the financials for the team, and pretty much everything but the actual field operations. If Amelia had built him a robot body, then he could probably do that.
The Pentagon? What?
Luke glanced over at Kate, who gave him an awkward shrug. With her left arm missing, it made her movements seem unnatural, even though she'd gotten better at it over the last year and a half. Not that he saw her as much as he would like to. She only came out in emergencies anymore.
Major Force, Nelson here. Listen, we have a situation. You think? Luke replied with sarcasm. I'm doing the best I can, Major, but this Dinobot is damned near indestructible. I have no idea what it's made of, but we can't stop it. The best I can... Dinobot? What? No, there's a bogey inbound on your location. We just picked it up on our sensors. NASA thinks it's a meteorite about the size of a destroyer. It's going to come down right in your area. You need to evac...
Luke cut him off.
On it.
Closing the channel to the Pentagon, he switched to the team channel.
New plan. There's a meteorite coming in, and it's going to smash this part of San Diego.
Milton put a graphic on his goggles, and everyone else's too, showing the estimated damage the object would do when it hit.
Luke,
Fleet's voice wavered over the radio.
I'm already exhausted, man. I can't evacuate 6 square miles of oceanside population.
The graphics updated with the estimated population of the area. 18,000. There was no way.
Save everyone you can. Focus on kids and women,
he told Fleet. What, are men not important? TK asked.
If it was me, I'd want my wife saved before I was,
Luke replied. Kate touched him, nodding toward the Dinobot. What about that?
We let it go,
he said, taking off in a jog to leap to the next building. A countdown appeared on his goggles. 2 minutes. That just wasn't enough time. The crushing weight of the moment forced him to one knee, and before he knew it, his breath was coming in ragged gulps. Luke, it's okay. Domino was there, hand on his shoulder, whispering in his ear. He didn't feel better, which meant she had her necklace on and wasn't using her empathic powers. He couldn't actually remember the last time he had seen her without it.
Is it? 10,000 people are going to die, Kate. And we can't do a damn thing about it, he growled. Just watch.
We can never save everyone, she whispered back. Not even our own.
You must clear the blast zone now. You are out of time.
Milton's voice came over the radio. Kate wrapped a comforting arm around his shoulders, and in a blink, they were clear.
Everyone sound off,
he commanded. Tess here.
Fleet.
He had to pause a second while sucking in huge volumes of air.
Present. Teddy here. I'm secure. I've alerted EMS. Other countries are mobilizing S&R to help. Thanks, Teddy. I wouldn't have thought of that,
Luke replied. He forced himself to watch, looking toward the east where the fireball descended from the sky, coming right at them. He caught a glimpse of the Dinobot as its foot hit the beach, making for the freedom of the ocean. Not only were people...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?